You then have the statements that the minister made that are relied on. And the argument is that having regard to those statements, the minister has made up his mind, as it were, about the conduct of the Auditor General.
Well, in the grounds for bias on page 60 of the electronic report, at paragraph 105,
Yes.
the allegation is that the minister is charged with ministerial responsibility for his ministry. The investigation concerns errors and maladministration on his watch.
Yes.
And he has defended the conduct of himself and his officials and disingenuously sought to shift the blame to the Auditor General.
Yes.
That would be an improper purpose for an investigation, wouldn't it? If you were targeting an Auditor General in order to shift the blame away from your own conduct. That's part of the bias ground. It's under the heading grounds for bias.
Milady, I'm having great difficulty responding to the board because, as I've been repeating, we answered a case that was put before the court.
This is the case.
Sorry?
No, this is the case. If the board were to consider that this, what you describe as improper purpose, actually forms part of bias, then you couldn't maintain your argument, because you're accepting, I think, that if improper purpose had been alleged, you wouldn't have a knockout blow.
I will have to say yes.
Entirely even-handed terms of reference might have identified the minister's conduct, because she says, rightly or wrongly, that she felt she was being bullied and coerced into signing the accounts in circumstances where that understatement hadn't properly been reconciled. And what's more, the 780,000 that was first identified as part of the understatement was never reconciled.
And the minister is interested to find out.
But why doesn't the term of reference say, just as it identifies the Auditor General, why doesn't it say, please investigate the minister's behaviour?
Well, that's a good point, milady, but it does say...
That would have been an even-handed term.
Well, it does say to investigate the Auditor General's response to the attempts to bring this to her attention.
Well, that's looking at her conduct. I'm interested to know to what extent the minister's conduct is going to be investigated, because if this was genuinely an even-handed investigation that wasn't designed to deflect the blame away from the minister and onto the Auditor General, it might have been...
It would be more even-handed to say, investigate the actions of the minister and investigate the actions of the Auditor General, since they seem to be, in some ways, the main antagonists, if that's the right word, or participants in these series of events. But curiously, the minister is not singled out, but the Auditor General is. It might be said.